Weekday nights, the city roars. Tune in loud, turn up some more. Cincinnati show, it's time to play. Sports with strawberry ice today. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. CTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ice, he's on the mic, energy, it's good delight. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Feel the crowd, it's electric now. Shouting loud, they all know how. The CTV got what we crave. Sports with ice, it's waves and waves. Tigers strike and Bengals roar. Every game we want some more. Tune it in and feel the thrill. Strawberry ice, he's giving chills. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. CTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ice, he's on the mic, energy, it's good delight.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I'm bringing you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio. And as always, I'm coming to you live from the Ice Cave. And the Ice Cave is brought to you by Priority Lawn and Landscaping. If you guys need your grass cut, you need, paper patios done, you need retaining wall done, anything lawn and landscaping required, think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Don't just think, call them. Or check them out on Facebook. Either way, call them at 513-430-6114. That's 513-430-6114. You follow them on Facebook. Facebook has all their videos and everything of the jobs that they've done, so I recommend going check out Facebook. But when you do call them or message them on Facebook, do me a favor. Tell them you found out about them from Sports with Strawberry Ice. What is up to everybody in the chat? We got Tony Blaze in there, Stranger. You're in there twice. Natty Ron's in there twice. You guys are on it. So, it's a Friday. We used to do a fun Football Friday, which this is going to be a fun Football Friday talk. We're talking trenches, baby. We're talking defensive line because, in my opinion, this is one of the most crucial positions for the Bengals this year. Shamar Stewart, JT Slayton, Trey Hendrickson. What's all going to happen with that? But to get this thing kicked off, let's get to the man from Cincy Jungle, the myth, one of the OGs, the legend, the Godfather, Anthony Cosenza. What's up, AC?
Hey, I gotta get you to Coach John to intro me the same way, man. Every time I come on here, I'm like, yeah.
Like, yeah, that's me. Yeah.
John's
just like, yeah, here's AC.
Yeah, here he is. John's an even-keeled guy, though. So
I'm a little more hyper than John is.
That's all right. How you doing, bud? Good to see you again.
Yeah, you enjoying the weather out there in California?
Sorta. I was telling John, I don't know if you guys, we get June gloom out here a little bit. So it's if you're close to the ocean, anywhere close, it gets like overcast and cloudy, and then it burns off late in the day, and then so
we're finally getting
exciting stuff. Stuff.
We're finally getting summer here. It's just getting hot as hell here.
Yeah.
Well, we got two more guys to get on the show. Let me get to them. Divine Thoughts is awesome on Spaces. He's been on the show a couple of different times. He knows a ton of stuff about defensive line, and he's pretty opinionated. So let's get to the man, Divine Thoughts. What's up, Divine? Hey,
what's going on? How y'all doing? Who day?
Who day, brother? Who day? I'm ready to talk some trenches here. How about you? You fired up about this?
Absolutely. That's my passion.
All right, so let's get to this. So I never knew this guy before. He goes by Casual NFL Fan. He's got his own YouTube show. Divine Thoughts is the one that hooked me up with him. He knows, like, put it this way. He just told me off the air he did a 2.5 hour video on Shamar Stewart, which is I'm going to go watch it. I'm going to have to go get a case of beer and some popcorn and sit down and, relax so I can pay attention to this. But I recommend you guys go get on his YouTube channel right now just to watch that. But no, well, not right now. Wait till after the show, then do it. But let's get to Junior. What's going on, Junior?
Yo, nice to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate it. So, explain to everybody a little bit about your background and how you had the time to do a 2.5 hour video of Shamar Stewart, why you did it. Because that is the most interesting thing you've told me since before we started this. So, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm a assistant D-line coach out in California. I'm just a huge fan of the D-line position, and even kind of like studied it to try to just expand my knowledge on it. And so with Shamar, the convo around him in the draft process, I wasn't a fan of. Like, people would be like, "Oh, he didn't have good stats," or "He's a raw player." But when you watch him, you could kind of see like the real issues with them,
right?
And see his like strengths and all that. And so I thought, let me just set the record straight of this is who he is as a player. Here's his strengths. Here's his weaknesses. Like, don't look at the stats. Won't tell you anything really about him. And I got all of his, or as much clips as I could get from all of his games to talk about. Mm-hmm. And it ended up being just 2.5 hours.
How many views have you got on that? I'm just curious.
I think it's like 1,600 at this point.
Jeez. I haven't. Well, I've had a couple videos with that many, but not too many. But I like, so for Bengals fans who are disappointed that we drafted Shamar, can you give them a little bit of hope of what potentially we could have out of Shamar?
Yeah, so I don't think this is too crazy to say, but I think he could walk into the league as a top 5 athlete at the edge position, and athleticism matters a ton for the edge position, since it's a position where you're attacking space in the pass rushing. Whatever helps you just attack that space more just makes you better as a pass rusher. You can do more out of it. And so, yeah, right now is a one-on-one winner. He's not going to be that great. Like, it's going to take him a couple of years to develop that. But, like, that's completely fine. Like, it takes edges a little bit to get used to the NFL game. But right now, he is a really good run defender. He can just destroy blocks. So he could do that right off the bat. And for the other side of pass rushes, so in pass rushes, usually one guy gets a one-on-one, or he's a main guy that's told to win, and the other guys have to contain, push the pocket, run a stunt, do something like that. Mm-hmm. He could do that at a high level right now. Like, he's going to help contain Lamar in the pocket, Patrick Mahomes in the pocket. If you have him run a stunt, like, he's legit as a looper for his size. He's like played at like 280, and he loops like Michael Parsons. Like, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Just tell him just to run into guys, and he'll just free up other dudes on blitzes or on stunts as well. Like, he's going to be really nice. As for him pushing the pocket and like condensing the pocket, it was a little inconsistent, but I think it was more due to coaching points versus him. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. But right now you're getting a really good role player, nice run defender who could develop into a high-end pass rusher.
Divine, what's your thoughts on him? Divine, what's your thoughts?
What he just said, I agree with 100%. When he talked about being able to, it's going to take a couple years for him to get his hands together, basically, to have a rush plan, right? I think this is where I have hope that Coach Mount will be able to get him together. I do think he's very disruptive. He just don't. It's kind of like Taz, the cartoon character Taz. Oh, yeah. He just Tasmanian devil, just spinning around, just causing all kind of confusion. But there's no rush plan. There's no consistency, and this is the issue. And I said it a couple of days before the draft. I said I'm really perplexed because when I look at Texas A&M players, they always have all these 5-star guys, right? They have the 5-star guys, the highly rated guys. They sign guys, NILs coming from other schools, but it's like they don't have the production that you would expect from somebody that's so highly athletically ranked and their profile. Think about Nick Scorton. You see what Nick Scorton did at Purdue. Then you go and look at what he did at, A&M. It's like, ugh. You had him put on all this weight, and it kind of mess with his explosiveness. You know, he still had a solid season, but not like the season he had when he was at Purdue.
Right.
So Texas A&M, I don't know what's going on with their defensive line, you know, their developers. But it's one of those weird things. Like athletically, he has everything that you look for the most part. You know, he's strong, he's physical, he's athletic, he's got the twitch, he has the burst off the line of scrimmage. He's just raw.
Right.
He's just really raw, and he just has to get his hands together. So I agree with him.
So Natty Ron here's got a question. Is this defense a 3-year project? I mean, basically, is this defense line, including Shamar Stewart, are they going to be able to make some kind of impact this year compared to last year? Go ahead, Junior.
Overall, yeah, like D-line is a lot better with TJ Slayton. You have Chris Jenkins and McKinley Jackson, who are going to be in year 2. Shamar now, Miles Murphy, who should be developing more. And so with Al Golden, who was brought in, he kind of ran a similar defense to Lou in terms of like the fronts and what he asked the players to do. So there won't be too much of a difference for the guys that were here last season.
Right.
And a lot of players that they've gotten. So when you're playing D-line, like you have some guys who either just shooting gaps or you're playing through the O-lineman and like reading blocks. A lot of the players that they got are good at that. Like Shamar did that just the whole time at A&M in that tight front. He's playing through the O-lineman, reading blocks, reading the shoulder. TJ Slayton's good at that. McKinley Jackson was good at that. He played in A&M too, which teaches the same thing.
Right.
So
right.
they got a lot of players that are good at controlling blocks and should be good at controlling blocks.
All right, AC. Sorry. Go ahead, Junior. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't mean to cut you off there. Sorry, I thought you were done. AC, you're back in here. We're talking defensive line.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. StreamYard kind of sucks sometimes. But we are doing a cross-state, cross United States podcast here. So 2 guys from California and 2 guys from Ohio. So just, it's a diverse group here.
Yeah, I don't know what I fully missed. I caught some of the last minute or so, but just to tack on a little bit with what Divine said just a couple minutes ago about A&M. It was a weird deal because if you look at it was Nick Scorton, another guy who had 10 sacks a year prior. He drops to 5 in their defense. I think they kind of had them doing a lot. They wanted him to help out in the run defense game a little bit more. And I think Scorton was a guy who bulked up to like 280. And then in the pre-draft process, he shed some weight to be kind of more of a truer edge. So there is kind of an odd anomaly with some of these kind of high-end players on their defense that saw some noticeable drop in production. So that is kind of one of the things with Stewart where you go, well, okay, maybe he was just asked to do some different things and that caused some things. He's a tradesy guy. But I agree with everybody. I mean, obviously it's a huge year for the Bengals defense. And I think the question was, is it a 3-year project? I sure as hell hope not. I mean, the way this defense has been playing the last couple of years, they can't afford to wait 3 years for a turnaround. So I will say we had earlier today on our show, we had James Rapine of SI and Locked On Bengals. And we kind of talked about Al Golden, and he did say a couple of things that were pretty poignant, at least from him being there at OTAs. And that was number one, it was very, very, the beginning practices were very much focused on very fundamental foundational stuff that has been seemingly lost in the weeds the past couple of years. So it was kind of back to basics stuff with Golden and his players. And then also he did note too that, every bit of Golden, how he approaches himself, how he carries himself, he looks, he said the words, he looks every bit of a part of a head coach in the way he prepares and does things. So I hope, with all of that being said, I hope that it's not a 3-year project for the Bengals and their defense.
Yeah, exactly. Now, he has been a head coach before in college. I think he coached Miami and Temple, if I remember correctly. So he does have head coaching experience. He's in college, but my point for being happy we got him is we need to develop this defense, including the defensive line. We got two first-round picks on this defensive line now, and Shamar Stewart and Miles Murphy. You got Joseph Osai, who was a late-round pick, but he's shown flashes. We need to get the full full Monty out of these guys. We need to get every bit of them. And that brings us to Miles Murphy on how big of a year I think this is for him. Junior, I'll go to you first. What's your thoughts on Miles Murphy? I personally think that he got stunned because he didn't get the right time amount of playing time. Because, in my opinion, and I'm no expert, but there's one way to get better at football is to play football. If you don't get a chance to play, it's kind of hard to show what you can do and what you can't do. So, what's your thoughts on Miles Murphy, Junior?
Yeah, so for the whole defense, like, of course, on pass rushes, it's going to be Trey. Like, you win, you tee off. Everyone else contain, push the pocket, do, like, role player stuff. So for Miles Murphy, it kind of sucks because all he was asked to do was just push the pocket and contain. And now he's good at it because he's long, he's strong. He could just push the O-lineman to the QB and keep the QB in the pocket. But since he's not asked to win, it's hard to just win. And the few times he is asked to win, he's more of a power rusher. So he does more power rushing things like getting a stab club or just bull rushing dudes or using like a hump move inside, like the Reggie White special. It looks nice. Like he can win when he's asked to. It's just he wasn't. So maybe next season with Trey getting a bit older, you just tell Miles Murphy, like, hey, like maybe give you a couple more opportunities to win and see what you do with it.
Take snaps away from Trey would help Trey. Good, Divine.
He's cooking. Look, I had made a thread on X, right? And I was like, because I was getting into an argument with somebody that was talking about that, Miles is a bust and this, that, and the other. And I was like, no, he's not. I said, if you know what you're looking for, you look at it's the small details, the things that you need to look for. I was called a Miles Murphy hater when we drafted him because I wanted to pass rushing 3-tech, and I knew that it was going to take him time to be able to develop. You know what I mean? Because he has all the athletic ability. He just didn't have, like, coming out of Clemson, all you really saw from him on a consistent basis was the long arm. That's it. But then when you go and look at him, like, man, this dude, I don't know if y'all remember against Cleveland, he did a long arm move against DeJuan Jones. DeJuan, 6'8" apartment complex, DeJuan Jones, super long arms, he did a long arm and knocked him all the way back to the quarterback.
Yep.
Like and just like the brother just said, he's added a rip move, a cross chop. He's added, he did a Reggie White hump move and it was successful. You know what I mean? I'm like, look, he has one of the quickest bursts off the line of scrimmage. If he played enough snaps, it would have been, I think they said top 10 the last 7 or 8 weeks of the season. Like, bro, he's second on the team and burst off the line. He just said about the strength, right? He's strong. He has the length. Against the Ravens, his rookie year and last year, Lamar couldn't get the corner on him. Last year, Lamar got him where he couldn't get the corner, but Lamar did a fake turn, a fake spin move and got him on the outside. But that's it. He can't out what we saw with Sam Hubbard. He was able to stiff arm Sam Hubbard. He's able to get the corner on Sam Hubbard. He's not able to do that with Miles Murphy because he has the athleticism. He has the speed. So I think Miles Murphy is going to take a couple steps this year, man, because I've seen too many things that I had an issue with him coming out in Clemson. I've seen him add to his game.
Yeah, he needs to take it. Well, we need him to take a step, and he needs himself to take a step so he gets another contract. AC, what's your thoughts on Miles Murphy?
Well, I think the biggest fan of Al Golden is his brother, Max Murphy, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I mean, according to some of the things on Twitter, Max
is if you guys are not following Max is awesome.
Yeah,
good follow.
He kind of made some veiled things like, hey, I mean, you saw what Miles did the last part of the season, what the rest of the defense did, and now we got to take the next step here. But it's a huge year, huge offseason for the guys on the defensive line in years 2 through 5 or 2 through 4, right? I mean, you're talking about Chris Jenkins, you're talking about McKinley Jackson, you're talking about Miles Murphy, you're talking about all these guys. You've invested high picks in many of these guys, and they need to start showing things. And it's now up to Golden to find the right formula and the right packages to utilize Joseph Osai where and when, to utilize Miles Murphy and grow upon the strengths that he improved upon late last year. So the Bengals need to find a formula for all of these guys. They are talented. They haven't shown the potential because of injuries, because of lack of play time, all of those things. But we have seen positive things. Osai is another guy who started to flash at the end of last year too. So they need to start capitalizing. Yeah, I mean, they need to start capitalizing on the talent of these guys. I mean, I loved Sam Hubbard, but now there's an opportunity now that he's gone for some of these guys to get some more playing time, and they need to capitalize on it. I said earlier today that Miles Murphy is the guy. I'm probably one of the top 3 guys I'm going to be watching the most this spring and summer in workouts and training camp, because I think he is that important to what the Bengals need to start doing up front.
Absolutely. And I've said this in general, just in general on this defense. We've got so many first and second round picks on this defense in general that we haven't got the full potential out of. And that's going to be Al Golden's goal this year, is to get as close to the full potential as he can out of these guys. And speaking of Joseph Osai, I love this dude, because I always remember the sack he got on the GOAT. He got on Tom Brady. I'm like, ooh, maybe we got some. Then he got hurt, and then he started coming back, and he had and everyone's talking about the play in the AFC Championship game where, he hit Mahomes. Mahomes threw himself up against the bench and made it look worse than it actually was. But everyone was talking about that play. But if you go back and watch that film, Osai was all over the field in that AFC Championship game. Yep. He was all over the place. And if he can get back to that, which sort of looking, he's trending that way, because he finally had a fully healthy season. He wasn't injured last year. Knock on wood. Hopefully that happens again. I think he could be a big piece along with Miles Murphy. I'm really excited about Osai. Go ahead, Junior. What's your thoughts on Joseph Osai? I'll start with you.
So he's really good at winning more technically. So the way I talk about D-line, you win in 2 main ways, either more like technically, like hand fighting, swipes, cross chop, stuff like that, or you could win by putting the tackle in a bad position, like with threatening him with speed, just bull rushing him, stuff like that. He's not really, like, he's fast, but he doesn't really beat tackles with speed. I don't know if he put on any weight to get better at run defense and stuff, but he more wins technically, which is why he's better at winning inside, where when you're playing inside, you get hands in your chest quicker. And if you get hands in your chest quicker, you just got to knock them away. And he's good at that. Good with double swipes, cross chops, all that type of stuff. And so right now, I think he's more better used as an inside rusher when you need to, and just containing on the edge or being used as like a looper on stunts. And when he does win off the edge, it is with just hand fighting. But since he's fast, like, he could just catch up to the QB and just get the QB hit after winning.
He's got that twitch that we were all talking about off air. Go ahead, Dwight.
Well, I think the thing with Joseph Osai, he does have the athleticism. I think the more snaps that he got towards the end of last year, I think he had 5 games straight where he had a sack.
Yeah.
I feel like Joseph Osai is one of those guys that I'm sorry, that's my ring. I think Joseph Osai is one of those guys that I think he's going to have a solid season, because I know this is I'm sure he don't want another 1-year contract. Yeah. So I feel like he's going to have a decent season to, get him a bag this offseason. I think I agree with what the casual fan said, where he's talking about, inside when he pass rush at 3 tech, because his athleticism gives guards problems. And I think he can actually rush on the edge as well. He showed that last year. So with Osai, I think the upside with Osai is like somewhere between 7 to 8 sacks. You know what I mean? That's ideal, right? But do I think he'll get that this year? I don't think so. I think we have too many guys on the defensive line that need snaps. So, but I do think he's somebody that could, like on third down, they could put him or Shamar Stewart at the 3 tech position to pass rush from the interior, and have somebody like Miles and Trey or, on the edges. Don't forget Cedric Johnson too. That's another guy that showed off too down the stretch as well.
On the list. So,
I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good. Go ahead, AC Osai. What's your thoughts on him?
That was one of my favorite picks when they made it and where they got him a handful of years ago, but it just hasn't materialized. I hate to use the word. He's been kind of a tease to this point, right? Yeah. And so it's like, man, you see the flashes. His very first preseason before he got hurt, I think it was the Miami game where he got hurt. And before he got hurt, he had a sack, a pass deflection, and like a forced fumble or something. It was just like a maniac. Yeah. And granted, that's preseason, and that kind of goes out the window a little bit. But I mean, the potential's been there. There's a lot of different defensive linemen on this team, or edge defenders on this team, that bring you different things. Mm-hmm. I think again is a pass situation rush specialist. And then the other guy that we haven't talked about, and I don't know if you're going to talk about him, but where does he fit in? Is he more of a kick him inside on passing downs guy? Is Cam Sample, right? That's a guy that Golden had, he kind of talked about, I think, during the draft, talking about how he is still in the plans and they've got ideas for him. So again, you've got kind of these utility guys. You got the star, hopefully whenever he comes back, Trey Hendrickson on the other side. You need to utilize these other utility guys in certain packages on certain downs against, specific teams in ways that can maximize what they do. So I think Osai is kind of, you got kind of the bigger guy in Miles Murphy. You got kind of the same in Sample, who's kind of a little shorter and stockier, that sort of thing. Osai is kind of different from all of the other players. So, I think pass rush situations or passing downs, I think that's where he's going to shine. He showed that at the end of the year, and it's just about him being healthy and just taking that next step. And hopefully, we start to see what he can do. But as everybody said, the speed is there, especially when he's closing in on somebody. You see it. So again, I think that makes him a little bit different than some of the tweener guys or guys that you can move around a little bit more that we've mentioned.
You guys got anything else to follow up on that?
But he can also do it, though. We got to remember he played linebacker at Texas, right? He played linebacker his last year. He was able to. They moved him over to the edge position, so he's got the versatility to do that.
Junior, got anything else to follow up on that before I move on to Cam Sample?
No.
Okay, so AC brought up Cam Sample, so that was next on my list anyway. Here, he's coming back off a Achilles injury. He finally got cleared to start practicing here. I said this off the air. I like him better on the inside than on the outside. But Junior, I think, or Divine, I think he said, I can't remember who said it. Is he going to get enough snaps this year? That's the thing. It's like because they have so many guys, and is he a forgotten man? On this defense, and what's the best position for him? Is it inside or outside? I think it's inside, but like I said, I'm no expert at all. That's just what I think. Junior, what do you got on Cam Sample?
Yeah, so from 2023, his last healthy season, he was used more as a pass rusher inside because he was able to win more technically, like double swipes or hand fighting, all that type of stuff. And on the edge or on maybe mainly like earlier downs, he could push the pocket, good as a crasher on stunts. Like he was not the best contained player because he's not that fast. He's more of a power guy. So early downs, keep him outside to defend the run, push a pocket if you need to, do stuff like that. Pass rushing downs, you can have him inside. It's a bit redundant because you have Osai who could rush from inside. And then for early downs, you have Shamar and Miles Murphy could play on the edges. So it's a bit weird. But when they do go in their odd fronts, I think he can play one of those like 3-4 DN type guys where he could play 3 tech, 4-eye, bump him out to 5 and do that. So if they plan on playing more odd fronts, I could see more of a role for him. It's just how do you want to do it? Right.
Now, one thing I like about everything we're talking about here is it seems like we got a lot of guys that are versatile, can move inside, outside. They can move them around. And Trey is one I think you just stick it on the outside and leave him there. I don't think Lou did that as much as he could have. Now, Junior, you said Al's his defense is a lot like Lou's was. Do you think Al will move these guys around more, or what's your thoughts in general of Al Gold defense with the versatility that these guys do have?
I think Al will just do things, I guess, more like efficiently. Like he won't just have Trey play that 3-4 DN spot or have him bump Trey inside. Like he will keep Trey outside. Has a lot of guys who can move around. I just don't think that much things will change. Like what's
the biggest difference you think from an Al Golden defense to a Lou defense? What's there's got to be something different. There's more linebacker based, more linebacking blitzes. What do you think?
I think he'd just be better at calling blitzes and stunts and hopefully run more stunts. He ran quite a bit of stunts with Notre Dame. I felt like last season, they didn't really run as much stunts as I would like to see, especially with Trey. Like
we had stunts run against us and we didn't know how to block them.
Yeah, because like with Trey, like they just have him just tee off the edge almost every single play.
Right.
But the times that they do run stunts with him where he's like acts like he's working outside, loop back inside, it looks good. Like he gets free. but they just rarely did it. So I don't know if that's more of a Trey thing or a Lou thing, but maybe Al Golden just comes in and says, hey, like we're going to run things this way.
Right. All right, Devon, go ahead. We kind of went off topic there, but we talked about Cam Sample there. What's your thoughts on Cam there?
Well, we talked about this a little bit earlier offline. I said that he reminds me of a smaller version, and he's more athletic than Frosty Rucker, right? Mm-hmm. He's a guy that's not going to be able to, pass rush consistently on the outside, but he can't hold his blockers, right? He can contain his gap or whatnot. And then from the interior, I just think he's a better pass rusher from the interior, like was just stated. I think it was against the New England Patriots a couple years ago. He was beating the heck out of, I forgot who the guard was for the New England Patriots.
Made him look silly. Yeah.
He beat him like a drum, bro. It's like, and it was, you saw it, because the same thing that got me excited about Cam Sample when he was at the Senior Bowl was his hands. He had all these different moves. He had active hands and he had power in his hands, and it was shown right there, and against the New England Patriots. But I think what they're going to end up doing, you asked about the snaps. Yeah. I think the odd man out on snaps is going to be a guy that we get to a little bit later. But I feel like Cam Sample and Joseph Osai, that they're on 1-year contracts, I think they get more snaps, so yeah.
Because they got to find out. I mean, that was what irritated me last year, is until Sam Hubbard got hurt, they didn't, Miles Murphy and Osai weren't getting snaps. And then finally Sam got hurt and they had to play him. I'm like, and that's when the defense started playing better. Why didn't he do that earlier? But that's, anyway.
Also, you got to remember as well, there was rumblings before he got hurt last year that he was possibly going to have a breakout year. He was having a good camp. You see what I'm saying? So I think the thing with Cam Sample, I know that he has physical limitations, but he's just one of those guys that every team in the NFL wants. He just goes in and he does his job.
Yeah.
He's just consistent at that. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Godfather, what do you got on Cam Sample?
Yeah, I mean, I think Frosty Rucker's a really interesting comp. I was also thinking like Robert Gathers a little bit. They're all 6'3", and kind of high-ish 280s type of thing. The bottom line is the Bengals need to generate, of course, pressure from the outside, but they need to be able to collapse the pocket, especially when you're playing Lamar Jackson twice. You're playing Patrick Mahomes, not on the schedule this year, but let's just say, postseason, that sort of thing.
We'll play him.
Yeah. I mean, you got nimble quarterbacks all over the place, and you have to be able to rush, collapse the inside of the pocket, and that helps Trey from the outside as well. So the Bengals really lacked that last year. I don't know how good of a year Cam Sample would have had last year, but as we kind of continue to talk about him, could he have been a guy, if he was rotating in and out and maybe taking that next step, could he have been a guy to limit the Ravens just enough to be able to get one of those wins and get the Bengals into the playoffs? Could he have had some sort of impact like that, just to limit, instead of freaking whatever, 41 points or whatever that they gave up? Maybe they gave up 33 and get the win. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's I think he might have been a guy last year that nobody talks about, that they quietly missed. Just kind of that utility Swiss Army knife guy. Helps you out in the interior, helps you out in the run game here and there. And maybe he makes 1 or 2 extra stops in one of those games because he's just a different player from the other guys that we've mentioned. And I don't know. I just wonder if he was quietly missed last year in a game or two that could have really cost the team the postseason.
I think instead of having Zach Carter and Jay Tufele out there, you could have had him in there. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, that's a great point, AC. And I think he, like I said, he's been kind of a forgotten guy because he was injured all last year. But yeah, he definitely would have helped, because our interior of our defense line was not very good last year. So I do think he was missed. I do think he makes an impact this year. Now, somebody said, or Pat here says, with the past injuries, how much more will that have limits on him? I don't know. It depends on how he comes back.
He's been cleared, right?
He's been cleared to practice.
He's cleared.
Right.
Yep.
He's cleared now, so he's full go. So hopefully he's back to 100% of what he was before the injury. I haven't been able to make it down to practice to see anything yet. So
you got to get over that mental barrier.
Yeah.
The doctors can clear you, but you got to be, you got to be sure that you're able to do what you were able to do before. So it's a mental thing.
Exactly. Now I want to jump into keep on the interior line here. For me, one of the undervalued offseason moves the Bengals have done this year, and I don't think it's getting enough hype, is TJ Slayton. And I'm gonna give credit to Paul Daniel Jr. I wish I had the stats in front of me, but go look up the stats for the Green Bay Packers run defense when TJ Slayton was on the field and when he wasn't. And with him right there alone, he makes the Bengals run defense 10 times better than it was last year. Just him. And I also think he's not a pass rusher, but to me, on pass rushing downs, he's going to stay there in front of that quarterback and hold two guys up. And we won't have. I just remember the Chargers game last year, watching Sherbert just run right up the middle because all guys kept running up to go to the pass rush. He just kept running right up the middle. And I'm like, somebody's got to stay at home. TJ Slayton's that guy, and plus he takes two double teams. Or not two double teams. He takes a double team on. Junior, what's your thoughts on TJ Slayton and the impact he's going to have on this defensive line for the Bengals? Especially it's a run game. He's not going to have a whole lot on the passing game. He's a run defender. But what's your thoughts on TJ Slayton?
Yeah, so I think he was like the biggest acquisition this offseason. He's going to help the team out so much. Just getting to
and nobody's
pass
talking about
situations.
it. Nobody's talking about it, Junior. Go ahead. Sorry.
I know people don't love nose tackles.
Right.
But
DJ Reader was my favorite defensive
I
player.
do. I love nose tackles.
Yeah. DJ
Nose
Reader's my
tackles
favorite player.
matter.
Yeah.
Nose tackles matter.
Those tackles matter, damn it.
but yeah, so like he's just such a good run defender. Like if you just block him one-on-one, like just base block, reach blocks, like he could fight through those easily. He could just read the O-lineman's shoulder, just like read blocks out really well. Take on doubles and combos, just always in the right position. And as a pass rusher, like, yeah, he's not going to provide much. He could push the pocket quite a bit. Like he has a few reps of him just driving the center back into the QB. He's also not that bad at stunts. Like he could scoot a bit. So if you just run like more of a run stunt where you just have like tackle stunt or something like that, he could run those pretty well. And he's really good at doing the contain stuff, which I mean, he kind of has to be. Like he's not going to be asked to pass rush, but one thing that's kind of underrated, especially on like early downs, is it's hard to get a pass rush going on early downs because it's going to be like quick game or might be like a 3-step drop. So it's like, oh, ball's getting out now. Right. So what he's good at is eyeing the QB, which is kind of an underrated thing where you watch the QB. If the QB is looking toward you and he's about to throw the ball, like get your hands up and play for an incompletion. Because like getting the 2nd and 10 is much better than you winning a pass rush, but you leave a throwing lane and he gets a small completion. So he's good at doing stuff like that. And even like working towards a quarterback where if say Trey's teeing off and he's a nose tackle next to him, he could see like, oh, there's a huge gap opening up. Let me just work towards this way to have the QB like not feel like he's a rushing lane to run through.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with all that. Divine, what do you got on him?
Do y'all know who the happiest man in the room was when we signed TJ Slayton? BJ Hill. He had the biggest smile on his face.
Yes.
Because now he don't have to play the 2-eye position. He don't have to be the nose. Yep. Now he can play his natural position, which is the 3-tech. And as quiet as his cat.
Super Bowl run. That's what he did.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And as quiet as his cat. Early in that season last year, he was our best interior defensive lineman. He wore out. He started to wear down and he got injured towards the back end of the season. So you put this man back at the position where he's comfortable. When we signed him, traded for BJ Hill, he was backing up Ogunjobi at the 3-tech position. There were snaps where they had Ogunjobi at the 3-tech and they had BJ Hill on the edge. BJ Hill had 7 sacks, including the playoffs, that season. You see what I'm saying? So we get him back to that 3-tech position and limit his snaps. I think he can be effective. That's the huge benefit of having a TJ Slayton. Also, freeing up these linebackers.
Oh, yeah.
Freeing up these linebackers. You got a guy that can control 2 players. You're opening up gaps for these linebackers to go and make plays in the run game and blitzing. Yep. So TJ Slayton, to me, I agree. He is the absolute, he is the steal of our offseason. Nobody's talking about him. No, he's physical. He's not DJ Reader. Let's put that out there now. You're not DJ Readers don't grow on trees, but he is a guy that can sustain and can occupy multiple blockers, and he's a guy that can actually open up lanes for pass rushers and blitzers and stuff. So
yeah, I'm glad you
A
said
plus
that
signing, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that about the blitzing linebacker stuff, because that we missed that a ton last year. Because we didn't, like I said, we literally did not have a nose last year. We didn't have one, and losing DJ Reader, and I'm a little biased. I said he was my favorite defensive player. Was huge, and I was worried about that the whole season. And they never fixed it because they didn't have that player. Now they do. Again, he's not DJ Reader, but he's as close as we're going to get right now. AC, what's your thoughts on TJ Slayton?
When has the Bengals defense in recent history performed its best, particularly in the AFC North? And the answer to that is when you have two capable, large, yes, pass rushers, etc. But when they have had two capable nose tackle type players, you look back, you talk about DJ Reader. You know who the other guy that they used on run situations with him up front? Josh Tupou, massive human being. You talk about going back in the past, Pico was a big guy, and so was Pat Sims, right?
Yeah,
they're not on the field together all the time, but that when you are in the AFC North, yeah, you need the explosive weapons, you need a quarterback, all that kind of stuff, but you still, Pittsburgh Steelers like to run the ball, Baltimore Ravens run the ball, Cleveland Browns, when they are at their best, they had run the ball with Chubb, etc. You need beef in the middle, and you need guys who are capable. And now, hopefully, you got Jackson and you got Slayton there, and they can kind of rotate and do different things there. As Divine just said, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, BJ Hill, what's going on here? And it's a positional issue. I don't think it's a not left in the tank type of issue. I think it's hey, he's not playing where he was most effective back in 2021 when you had Ogunjobi, DJ Reader, Tupou, etc. So I think it is a massive move, and yeah, I'm guilty of it too. I haven't been talking about it all that much, but I think in this division, and right now, you can make the argument that the Baltimore Ravens are a bigger hurdle than the Kansas City Chiefs are for the Bengals. And right now, those are the types of players on defense that they need to not allow 41 points, not allow 38 points to the Baltimore Ravens, and have to continuously play catch up on offense.
40 points to the freaking suck-ass Steelers. How? That was just – if we could have won that game, we would have made the playoffs. That's the game that just completely pisses me off.
And he does not have to be DJ Reader. He does not have to be that good. But if he is capable and he can occupy blockers and do the things that you need him to do, especially in this division, that is key. Yeah.
And the thing is, this is as close – to what you talked about with we had DJ Reader, BJ Hill, and Larry Ogunjobi. We have close. I don't know what the exact rotation is going to be, but we have close to having a rotation like that again, which takes snaps off of BJ Hill. Which Divine, we can roll to BJ Hill now. But exactly what Divine said, I've said this before. You got to get snaps off of BJ Hill. And it's not a knock on him. I want snaps off of Trey too. I don't want them to take 70% of the snaps. They could take, I don't know, half that or a third of that, whatever. That would be fine, because that, to me, they're fresher down the stretch, fresher at the end of the season, and that's where we never replaced Larry Ogunjobi, and that has hurt BJ Hill last year. Divine, you're right. BJ started balling out, and I do think the snaps got to him. And like you said, AC, he wasn't playing his position this year. He can. Junior, what's your thoughts on BJ Hill?
I hope this isn't too controversial, but I think he's a solid player. Like, he's just like solid run game, pass rushing, stunts, all that. He's just like a guy you could depend on as a starter. And yeah, like last season it was a bit rough because since he didn't have a true nose to like occupy double teams, he would take on more than he should have. And he's fine against double teams, but he's plays a bit small, so he gets moved quite a bit, and it's just tough to go through that the whole season when you don't have a nose tackle that is worth playing. But he's really good at just like using leverage, like push and pulling guys as a pass rusher in the run game. Like, he's really good at that, really good against zone blocks, which is what Derrick Henry's used to and he's good at. So having him in this like the vision, playing that 3 tech where he doesn't have to worry about double teams as much, he could just play through the guard, not get reached on zone blocks if you're playing against the Ravens and stuff like that. Like, it should help him out more. And having him be able to tee off a bit more too, getting some more third and longs.
Exactly. And Divine, you kind of already touched on BJ Hill. You got anything else you want to add to that?
Yes, I agree with what he was just saying. He's solid on both the run and the pass. And the one thing that stuck out to me, do y'all remember when we had what's his name? He just signed with the Texans, the guy we had last year. He was with the Texans.
Sheldon Rankins.
Yeah,
I'm trying not to remember him. Yeah.
Damn it, Divine.
but Sheldon Rankins, the thing that we know that Trey Hendrickson, because he doesn't have elite bend, he loops wide a lot of times in his pass rush, and Sheldon Rankins left a gap there so many times last year because he wasn't disciplined. Mm-hmm. You're not going to have that with BJ Hill. BJ Hill is a guy that can control his blocker that's in front of him and read and get rid of the, I think that's another thing that's going to be like hugely underrated with him going back to a 3-tech position. So
AC,
both of them bring up excellent points about BJ Hill. One of my favorite plays really in recent memory that I just always think about here and there is a couple of years ago in that December game against the Vikings, where he somehow came up with that weird interception. Do you remember that play against that backup quarterback? I forget, Mullins, I think it was. And he like kind of got in there and stumbled and then flipped around and got it. Yeah, it was like the wackiest play, but he has a knack for making huge turnovers and huge plays. And
he's the Chiefs too.
Yeah, he has, and it has come when he has been playing his rightful, his better position. And so I think a lot of that was lost last year. We talked about Ogunjobi, and Ice knows I talk about this almost any time we talk about the defensive line, but the Bengals have been totally scrambling to recreate what they had with
They've never
BJ Hill and Larry Ogunjobi. What they had and how Divine talked about how they used him. Ogunjobi was inside and Hill was kind of outside on some fronts. I mean, it was insanely effective. It was, and then Hendrickson, of course, was Hendrickson. Hubbard was still playing at a pretty high level then too. But when you lost those two and then you lose Reeder a couple of years later, it's like, man, they had just been scrambling to recreate that. And hopefully now with Slayton, maybe McKinley Jackson takes another step. You got Hill being in his, better spot. Hopefully now everything kind of starts to fall back into place. You can't identically recreate what they had a few years ago in that, but if you can get big plays from a number of different positions, that's huge up front. That is huge.
Yeah. Now I'll ask Junior this. Shamar Stewart, he could kick in to that spot too as well. Am I correct on that?
For early downs, yeah, I wouldn't really want him there on passing downs as much, unless it's to run stunts. But yeah, he could play inside pretty well.
So out of the basically we got the two rookies from last year. We got McKinley Jackson and Chris Jenkins, and we put Cedric Johnson in there as well. We'll lump all those three together. Are any of these guys? And I said we're close to having. We're not going to have Larry O, BJ Hill, DJ Reed or not. But I think this year we're as close as we've been to getting that back. Do any of these guys, McKinley Jackson, Chris Jenkins, Cedric Johnson, these guys, one of these guys take that jump to be that next guy? That could be the person we need. Junior, I'll let you go first.
I'm not sure about next season, but so one of these kind of notice with some D lines is they'll get almost like 1-for-1 replacements. And so McKinley's kind of a nose, just a typical nose, but Chris Jenkins is kind of the BJ Hill replacement, where they play pretty similarly. Like they're both good at using leverage, fighting against reach blocks. You can see Chris Jenkins using like push and pulls and kind of looking like BJ Hill out there, except he's not as consistent right now. And that's the main thing, is just building that consistency. And he does play pretty small as well, but when he does get those double teams, it's even worse. Instead of like BJ Hill getting moved back like 3 yards, like you'll see Chris Jenkins getting moved back like 5+ yards. And it's like, he's not there yet, but maybe within a year or two, he could be on the same level as BJ Hill. And then Kenley Jackson, more just that true big body nose. He did pretty fine. With double teams, it's just more for bigger bodies, nose tackles, building that reaction to it. Because you're playing over the center a lot, the blocks just get to you quicker, especially way more quicker than the college game with much better athletes. So it's just building that reaction of seeing like, oh, this dude's gonna double team with him, just like anchor down or drop my knee or doing something to not get moved. And so he wasn't as consistent with that, but the second half of the season was a bit better. And against just single blocks, base blocks and stuff, he could still just knock those back, shut off of them, do all that.
We got any thoughts on Cedric Johnson?
I didn't really see too much from him. Like he was more of just kind of use like an outside linebacker, stand up type player, a little bit of a power rusher. Like a lot of his pass rushes was him just using like hezzy steps and trying to knock hands away, but I didn't see anything too crazy.
Divine, what do you got?
All right, this will be the first time that we have disagreed.
He's been waiting for this. I can see his face.
Okay, McKinley. Look, I think McKinley Jackson is going to take a step, especially if Coach Mont can get him to line up on the line of scrimmage, not 3 yards away from the line of scrimmage. McKinley Jackson, his burst off the line, you alleviate that by lining up so far away from the line. If you're right over the guard in the center, you know what I mean, you can that quick burst. We've seen it last year. We seen it against the Giants. We seen it against the Titans. And against Pittsburgh. He's able to beat those guards. Like when they try to run an outside zone run, he's able to beat those guards to the spot, and he's able to, make tackle for losses or disrupt plays. Like the infamous Jordan Battle, running to, anyway, but he's able to do those things, you know what I mean? So it's just like, I feel like I don't think that McKinley Jackson is your prototypical nose tackle. Mm-hmm. I think he's more athletic than that. He has the burst. He can move a little bit. You know what I mean? I don't think he has the anchor to consistently be a guy that hold up two blockers, right? Mm-hmm. And this is the conundrum that we're in with him because he's kind of a tweener, And then when you look at Chris Jenkins, to me, if Chris Jenkins was in McKinley Jackson's body, Chris Jenkins will be a monster. Right. If McKinley Jackson was in Chris Jenkins' body, you know what I mean? So it's just like
switch him.
Right. But I think McKinley Jackson is going to have a better year. If we remember, he didn't have any preseason. He had one day in training camp.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's the thing that impressed the hell out of me is he had one day. I wasn't a full day. He got hurt, and then no training camp, and he didn't start playing till week 4 or 5?
Week 5, yep.
And it wasn't plug and play, but he made a difference, and that impressed me a lot. Just that in general.
Down the stretch, right? Because he missed the first 4 games of the season. Then they kind of eased him in there, but towards the back end of the season, he was one of our best interior defensive linemen. Yep. And you saw the growth. That's all you can really ask for, especially with rookies. You want to see them grow from week to week.
Divine, he got playing time. It kind of helps.
Yeah. And as far as Chris Jenkins, I like Chris Jenkins' strength, but the thing about Chris Jenkins is that even at Michigan, he didn't play the 3 tech and a 2-eye like that. You know what I mean? He was really at the 4-eye because you remember they had Mason Graham and they had God, what's his name? Grant. They had Grant. Those 2 guys was in there, and a lot of times he was in between the guard and the center. I mean, and not center, the guard and the tackle, And I'm like, if we use him the way that they used him in Michigan, like in them short yardage runs and this, that, and the other, you can have him out there. I think that'd do him more justice because the one thing that I don't want to see is him taking on double teams because we've seen him taking on double teams is not good. It is not good. We've seen him get pushed 5-10 yards down the field or get knocked on his hind part. So I'm still kind of, because he does have the athleticism. He do have the strength. He does have the twitchiness, but he's never been a pass rusher. You know what I mean? And he's really a guy that you really want to get single blocked, And Cedric Johnson, I understand what you're saying about Cedric Johnson. Cedric Johnson is young and he has a high upside. His motor, I think that's the thing that I love most is his motor and his athleticism. Down the when he played against, was it the Broncos? He had a sack in that game. That miraculous catch that Mims had at the end of the game, Cedric Johnson was right there in the quarterback's face. Yes, right there. And he was also in on a play where God, who intercepted that ball? It was an interception. He was there. He showed flashes. Even during the preseason, he showed flashes. But you remember, we claimed KJ Henry. And then it's like we magically forgot all the wonderful things that Cedric Johnson did during the preseason. And we made him inactive, and we let KJ Henry get those snaps. And it wasn't until the end of the season where he started getting snaps. But I like his upside, and I think that's the reason why I feel like he's going to stay on the roster, because you got Osai and you got Sample, and they on 1-year deals. This is a guy that he's on his second year as a 6th-round draft pick, cheap, high upside. So I like him.
AC, what do you got? We're talking Cedric Johnson.
Yeah, I'm going to just go a little bit of a different route because I like all three of the guys. I'll just say who I think will take the biggest step forward would probably be McKinley Jackson. And who needs to take the biggest step forward is Chris Jenkins to show, that's a 2nd-round pick. You gotta start showing some things. I like Cedric Johnson. I just worry that he will get lost in the shuffle. I know he's a cheap, the contract that Divine just mentioned, but sometimes, unfortunately, draft status and other veteran status does kind of play a little bit of politics in roster decisions. I am intrigued at what he can do, though. So I think he's a guy that needs to be one of those preseason game darlings again. He needs to have some big preseason games just to, make sure the coaches don't forget about him, because they were pretty quick and pretty dead set on bringing back Osai and Sample. So yeah, they're on 1-year deals, and Ced could be a nice guy for the future, but there's only so many spaces. So I think he just needs to have a really solid preseason just to make sure that everybody remembers him in the mix too. So I guess I'm going to say I think McKinley Jackson takes the biggest step, or is most likely to take a step forward. I think Chris Jenkins is the guy who most desperately needs to take a step forward. And Ced, I think, just needs to have a really good preseason. It's unfortunate for him. I think he's a good player, but it's just a crowded position group with a lot of guys who have been in the building longer than him as well.
Yeah, it's a numbers game for him. All right, guys, we've been on for 56 minutes. Is there anybody on the defensive line, Junior? I'll go with you that I haven't mentioned that we're sleeping on.
Not that I could think of. I gotta look at the backups again, or the bottom of the depth chart guys.
Hey, Dwight, AC, anybody that you got that I haven't brought up here?
Only guys you haven't brought up was the rookie free, the UDFA guys.
Yeah, Cross.
Yep, Cross. Okay. There you go.
Cross is an interesting guy.
Good, AC. What's your thoughts on him?
No, he's, what is he at the next level? Is he big enough to play? That sort of thing. But was on Golden's defense, and he's a guy he knows. And some people thought he might have been a guy who was going to be drafted on day 3, late in day 3, that sort of thing. But I think that's a guy to watch. And if he has an interesting training camp and preseason, maybe he is one of those UDFAs that sneaks his way on. I still think he's probably a practice squad guy, but that's a guy that I think some people are intrigued by because of his performance in college and that sort of thing. But what is he at the next level type of thing?
Right.
I think Gregory too. I think Gregory would be another guy that end up being on the practice squad. He's an older guy, with 6'3", 320, but he has a motor and he's physical, and that's really what you need, those big guys in there to be able to occupy blockers. So I can see him making a practice squad.
Junior, you got thoughts on those guys?
Yeah, with the way the team's constructed, it'll be a bit weird because you might have to carry like 6 edges and then 4 DTs based off of their positions. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you do keep one of Gregory or Cross. I would prefer Gregory just because he's closer to or better as a run defender than Cross. I wasn't a huge fan of Cross. He did some of Golden's stuff. He was fine on stunts. He's just not that good of an athlete, and he's not that great in the run game. So it's hard to play him and to find him stats. But for Gregory, since he is closer to being a fine NFL run defender, he should probably get the nod over him.
There you go. All right, boys, this has been awesome. I could talk trenches all day long. I appreciate all you guys jumping on. Junior, you are the man. Tell everybody where to find you. You got your own YouTube channel. They can find the 2.5 hour long Shamar Stewart video, which I still can't believe you did a 2.5-hour video. That right there in itself is impressive. So go ahead, tell everyone where to follow you and find you at, buddy.
Yeah, so on YouTube, I should be the casual NFL fan. Same thing on Twitter and X.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, we're definitely going to have you back on again for sure. So I appreciate you, man. And well, I'd say who day, but you're a Raiders fan. So yeah.
I'll say
He'll
it.
say who they.
Yeah.
Yeah, conversion. All right. Thanks, Junior. See ya.
All right.
Oh, he said it. I cut him off. Ah, dang it.
Just at the right time.
I know. Like, hang on it. All right, Devon, you set that up. I appreciate you, bro. Tell everybody where they can follow you, and you're always on Spaces and stuff, so people can follow you there.
Divine Thoughts, but it's spelled with an E because somebody again took the I. So it's Divine Thoughts, on X. So just look me up. We always in those spaces, and I enjoy talking about defensive line. And I appreciate you having me on again, Anthony. Honor, years
thanks,
following you,
Thank you.
but
Thank you.
Yep. So
I'm blushing. Thank you. Nice meeting you. Nice meeting you.
Godfather blush.
yeah.
All right,
Likewise. But who they found? Hey, I appreciate you again, Iceman. And y'all take it easy.
You too, man.
All
Take
right.
it easy, brother. Who they?
All right, who they?
The Godfather, Anthony. I just like saying that. It flows. Anyway, tell everybody where they can follow you at. You guys got Cincy Jungle, and you, John, got your Orange and Black Insider podcast.
Yep, we do. On YouTube at Bengals OBI, on X at Bengals OBI. I am at CJ Anthony CUI. A lot of I's in that. Our show is YouTube. It's on all your favorite podcast streamers. Cincy Jungle. We're trying to get, in case you did not know, we've tried to get some stuff from Dale Altman on Cincy Jungle lately.
I know that guy.
I know. So yeah. So but yeah, no, thank you for having me on, and I always love talking to you. Sorry I was a little delayed in my response to come on this week, but it was good meeting those two guys, and yeah, man, I appreciate you. You know that.
It all worked out, man. Like I said, I appreciate you coming on. You and John always come on here, and it's always
we love it.
Time. It's always a good time talking to the Godfather and the Brain. I'm telling you, one of these times you guys have to put your names down to the Godfather and the Brain. just for me. Just for me.
Okay.
If I don't watch the show, you got to screenshot it and send it to me. Make sure you know.
Okay. I will.
All right.
All
right, AC. Appreciate you, brother.
You're the man, dude. See ya.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Thanks for watching. I've been live streaming on Facebook, X, YouTube, Twitch. You can follow me on all those, along with Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. I will be pulling out the sound later on tonight, put on the podcast. If you want to hear any of the great defensive line trench talk we just had, check it out. It'll be on BeanPod, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure you rate, like, and review. Leave a 5-star review and a comment so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. Shout out to my sponsors of the show. They are as followed. Priority Lawn and Landscaping. You got some properties you don't want to cut. You got some properties or your own property that you need some landscaping done, shrubbery done, retainer wall, paver patio, anything lawn and landscaping related. If you got grass that you just don't like, I saw a video of Priority Lawn and Landscape. They did this on their Facebook page where the guy didn't like his lawn. So they took all the lawn up and they put, I think, some manure or something on the ground. I don't know what it was, but they help it grow. And then they put sod down and the grass looks amazing. So if you want to do that, do me a favor. Think Priority Lawn and Landscape. Don't just think it. Call them at 513-430-6114. That's 513-430-6114. You can also follow them on Facebook. And when you message them, tell Johnny you heard about them from Sports with Strawberry Ice. Also, shows brought to you by T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. Also, Meyer Windows, Doors, and more. Check them out at MeyerCincinnati.com. Like I always say, I highly recommend them because I got them in my house. So why would I recommend something that I use in my own house? They're easy to clean, energy efficient, great looking windows. Matty Myers and Nate can come out and give you a free estimate. You probably get the windows done in a day, depending on how many windows you got in your house. Day and a half. You have nice, new, energy efficient, good looking windows and doors in your house. MeyerCincinnati.com. All right, boys, girls. You guys have a wonderful weekend. I appreciate every single one of you guys. watch the show. I got 141 people right now. I think I had 167 at one time. Do me a favor, make sure you like, subscribe, share. If you're not on YouTube, share the show out. Tell everybody about Sports with Strawberry Ice, especially if you want to hear some good trench talk. I appreciate it. We'll be back Monday. Bengals captain will be on the show with me. Hopefully, I can get Corey back on the show. See if we can get the man Corey Dillon back on. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful weekend. Remember, Houday for life. And throw it up. That's just sports, baby. See ya!
Weekend nights, the city roars. Tune in loud, turn up some more. Cincinnati show, it's time to play. Sports with Strawberry Ice today. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. CTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry Ice, he's on the mic, energy, it's pure delight. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry Ice will lead the throng. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry Ice will lead the throng. Feel the crowd, it's electric now. Shouting loud, they all know how.